Imagine holding in your hands a device so technologically advanced that it would take humanity over 1,400 years to create anything remotely similar. Now imagine this device was built over 2,000 years ago, lying at the bottom of the Mediterranean Sea, waiting to rewrite everything we thought we knew about ancient technology. In 1900, a Greek sponge diver named Elias Stadiatis emerged from the depths near the island of Antikythera, trembling and mumbling about a heap of dead naked people. What he had discovered was far more than ancient statuary hidden among those marble figures, was perhaps the most astonishing technological artifact ever recovered from antiquity, a bronze clockwork computer that could predict the movements of the cosmos. This is the story of the Antikythera Mechanism, a device so sophisticated, so impossibly complex for its time, that when scientists first examined it, many refused to believe it could be ancient at all. It challenges everything we thought we knew about the technological capabilities of the Greeks, and it reveals a lost world of scientific achievement that vanished into the shadows of history for over a millennium. To understand the Antikythera mechanism, we must first understand the world that created it. By the 2nd century BCE, ancient Greece had achieved something remarkable, a scientific and technological renaissance centered around the legendary Library of Alexandria. This wasn't just a repository of scrolls. It was the intellectual engine of the ancient world, where mathematicians, astronomers, and engineers pushed the boundaries of human knowledge. The Greeks had already demonstrated impressive engineering prowess. They built the Parthenon with its mathematically perfect proportions, constructed the Lighthouse of Alexandria, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, and developed sophisticated systems of plumbing, and even used steam to operate equipment. But before the discovery of the Antikythera mechanism, historians believed that ancient Greek gears were limited to crude wheels and windmills and watermills. For the ancient Greeks, understanding the cosmos wasn't merely an academic exercise. It was essential to their way of life. Farmers needed to know the precise timing of seasons for planting and harvesting. Sailors required celestial navigation for their voyages across the Mediterranean. Religious festivals and the famous Panhellenic Games, including the Olympics, were scheduled according to astronomical cycles. The Greeks needed to know when to offer sacrifices to their gods at exactly the right celestial moment. But predicting astronomical phenomena was extraordinarily complex. The planets appeared to wander backwards and forwards across the sky, what astronomers call retrograde motion. The moon's path varied in speed and position. Solar and lunar eclipses occurred according to complicated cycles that spanned years. Earlier Babylonian astronomers had discovered that celestial bodies moved in repeating cycles, recording their observations on clay tablets. The Babylonians found, for example, that Venus completed 5 synodic cycles in exactly 8 years. The Greeks took this Babylonian knowledge and combined it with their own geometric theories about planetary motion. But calculating these movements required extensive mathematical computation. What they needed was a way to mechanize these calculations, to build a machine that could predict the cosmos with the simple turn of a handle. This is exactly what they did. The spring of 1900 brought an unexpected storm to the Aegean Sea. Captain Dimitrios Kontos and his crew of sponge divers from the island of Symi were blown off course, finding shelter near Antikythera, a small rocky island between Crete and mainland Greece. When the weather cleared, Kontos wasn't about to waste an opportunity. His divers had recently begun using a revolutionary new technology, canvas diving suits with breathing, hoses and copper helmets that allowed them to reach depths of 50 meters or more. When diver Elias Stadiatis descended to the seafloor at 45 meters depth, he made a discovery that would mark the birth of underwater archaeology. He had found an ancient Roman cargo ship, over 50 meters long, that had sunk sometime between 70 and 60 BC, what some now call the Titanic of antiquity. For a full year, the divers, soon assisted by the Hellenic Royal Navy, brought treasures to the surface: bronze and marble statues, including a magnificent 7-foot statue of a young man possibly depicting Heracles, pottery, jewelry, coins from Pergamon, and unique glassware. But among these obvious treasures was something that initially drew no interest at all: a corroded lump of bronze, about the size of a large dictionary, probably only retrieved because its green patina suggested it might be valuable bronze. The artifact sat largely ignored in storage at the National Archaeological Museum in Athens, crumbling further as the bronze, now turned to atacamite, dried and cracked in the air. Then, on May 17, 1902, almost exactly 120 years ago from today, Greek archaeologist Valerios Stais was examining artifacts in the museum's workroom when something extraordinary caught his eye. Embedded in the corroded mass, clearly visible in the cracked surface, was a gear wheel precision-cut bronze gear. This couldn't be possible. Geared mechanisms of any complexity weren't supposed to exist in the ancient world. Initial reactions ranged from skepticism to outright disbelief. Many scholars considered it prochronistic, too advanced for its time period. Some suggested it must have been an astrolabe, a much simpler astronomical instrument. Others thought it might have fallen into the ancient shipwreck from a medieval vessel. For decades, the Antikythera Mechanism remained an enigma. In 1951, British science historian Derek de Solla Price began the first systematic investigation of the device. By 1971, Price and Greek nuclear physicist Charalampos Kourakalos made X-ray and gamma-ray images of the 82 fragments into which the mechanism had broken. Their work revealed that the device contained at least 30 interlocking gear wheels, though the complete mechanism may have originally had over 40 gears. The real breakthrough came in 2005 when researchers used cutting-edge microfocus, X-ray computed tomography, essentially giving the ancient device a high-resolution CT scan. The technology revealed not just the gear's positions, but also thousands of tiny Greek letters inscribed on the fragments, buried and unread for over 2,000 years. These inscriptions were essentially an ancient instruction manual, describing what the mechanism did and how to use it. The UCL Antikythera research team, led by Tony Freeth, created detailed 3D reconstructions from these scans. What they found was breathtaking: a complete astronomical computer that represented the cutting edge of both Greek astronomy and Babylonian mathematical cycles, all mechanized in a device no larger than a shoebox. The Antikythera Mechanism was, quite literally, the world's first analog computer. It was housed in a wooden case approximately 34 centimeters, 18 centimeters, 9 centimeters, about the size of a modern laptop containing at least 30, and possibly up to 37, bronze gear wheels with teeth about a millimeter long. These weren't crude gears. They were precision-engineered with sophisticated tooth profiles that allowed smooth, accurate operation. Here's what made it revolutionary. The mechanism had a hand crank on the side. Turn the crank forward, and you could predict the future positions of celestial bodies. Turn it backward, and you could calculate where planets, the sun, and moon had been in the past. The front face displayed 7 hands, showing the positions of the sun, moon, and the 5 planets known to the ancient world: Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. A rotating black and silver ball showed the phases of the moon, but the sophistication went far deeper. The back of the mechanism featured 2 large spiral dials. The upper dial tracked the metonic cycle, the fact that 19 solar years exactly equal 235 lunar months, with a subsidiary dial showing when the Pan-Hellenic Games, including the Olympics, should take place. The lower dial calculated the Saros cycle, used for predicting solar and lunar eclipses with remarkable accuracy, indicating not just when eclipses would occur, but their characteristics and likely visibility. Perhaps the most impressive aspect was how the Greek engineers solved the challenge of fitting such complex calculations into a small device. The Babylonians had discovered highly accurate planetary periods, but these numbers were often prime and would require impossibly large gears. For Venus, the Babylonians used a cycle of 720 synodic periods in 1,151 years, but 1,151 is a prime number, meaning any gear train would need a gear with 1,151 teeth. The designer of the Antikythera mechanism found an ingenious workaround, using period relations with small prime factors like 289 synodic cycles in 462 years for Venus. This allowed the mechanism to use gears small enough to fit inside the case while maintaining impressive accuracy. Different planets could even share gears when their cycles had common prime factors, demonstrating not just engineering skill, but sophisticated mathematical understanding. The existence of this device single-handedly rewrites our understanding of ancient Greek technology. Historians had believed that the first sophisticated astronomical clocks weren't built until 14th century Europe, more than 1,400 years after the Antikythera mechanism. Nothing comparable in terms of precision gearing was thought to exist until medieval cathedral clocks. As one research team concluded, it challenges all our preconceptions about the technological capabilities of the ancient Greeks. The device proved that ancient Greece had achieved a level of technological sophistication that was completely unlike anything else from the ancient world. It also suggests a lost tradition of such devices. Cicero, a Roman orator, wrote about similar mechanisms built by Archimedes in the 3rd century BCE. The sophistication of the Antikythera mechanism indicates it was likely the culmination of a long tradition of prototypes and improvements, meaning there were probably many such devices in the ancient world, most melted down for their valuable bronze when they stopped working. The shipwreck may have preserved the only surviving example of an entire class of lost technology. This raises a haunting question. If the Greeks could build mechanical computers in the 2nd century BCE, why did this technology disappear? Why did it take humanity more than a millennium to reinvent such devices? The answer lies in the fragility of knowledge. With the burning of the Library of Alexandria, the closure of philosophical schools, the end of the Olympic Games, and the destruction of temples, much of Greek scientific and technological achievement was lost. Bronze devices were melted down. Parchment manuscripts became scarce or were scraped clean for reuse. For over 1,000 years, serious mathematical and scientific thinking nearly vanished from Europe. The Antikythera mechanism serves as a sobering reminder that technological progress is not inevitable. That knowledge once lost can take centuries to recover, and that we may never know the full extent of what the ancient world achieved. The Antikythera mechanism continues to influence modern science and engineering in surprising ways. The device has sparked renewed interest in analog computing methods, reminding engineers that mechanical solutions can sometimes be more elegant and reliable than digital ones for specific applications. Watchmakers and precision engineers study its gear train designs, which demonstrate principles still relevant in modern clockmaking and mechanical engineering. Modern researchers have used the most advanced imaging technology to study the mechanism. New patent applications for X-ray computed tomography equipment explicitly reference the Antikythera mechanism as an example of their capabilities. The device has pushed the development of 3D imaging, surface modeling software, and text recognition algorithms that can read heavily corroded ancient inscriptions. Museums worldwide have commissioned replicas of the mechanism for educational purposes. These reconstructions serve as powerful teaching tools about ancient astronomy, gear theory, and the history of computing. The YouTube channel ClickSpring has documented the creation of a full-scale replica using only tools and techniques available in ancient Greece, a project that has taught modern craftspeople new appreciation for ancient metallurgical and machining skills. In 2024, a 10x scale replica was installed at the University of Sonora in Mexico, allowing students to interact with and understand the mechanism's principles. The device has become a cultural icon, appearing in films like Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. albeit highly fictionalized, raising public awareness of ancient Greek achievements. Perhaps the most important modern application is philosophical. The Antikythera Mechanism teaches contemporary engineers several crucial lessons. The power of interdisciplinary thinking. The device's creators combined Babylonian astronomy, Greek geometric theory, and advanced mechanical engineering, a reminder that breakthrough innovations often occur at the intersection of different fields. Elegant problem solving. When faced with the constraint of limited space, the designers found creative mathematical solutions rather than simply building bigger. Modern engineers facing constraints of power, weight, or size can learn from this approach. The importance of documentation. The Greek inscriptions on the mechanism were essentially an instruction manual. This ancient commitment to documentation enabled modern researchers to understand the device, a lesson relevant for today as complex systems. Knowledge preservation. The near total loss of this technology for over a millennium demonstrates the importance of preserving and transmitting knowledge across generations. It reminds us that digital data, cloud storage, and even physical artifacts require active maintenance and institutional memory to survive. The Antikythera Mechanism is more than just an ancient artifact. It's a profound reminder that our ancestors were not primitive or simple-minded. It demonstrates that human ingenuity, creativity, and problem-solving ability have existed throughout history, waiting only for the right combination of knowledge, resources, and motivation to create something extraordinary. As Tony Freeth, leader of the UCL research team, concluded, it reveals a creation of genius combining cycles from Babylonian astronomy, mathematics from Plato's Academy, and ancient Greek astronomical theories. This wasn't just a technical achievement. It was a philosophical statement about the Greek belief that nature operated according to predefined rules, like a machine, an approach that forms the foundation of modern scientific thinking. The story of the Antikythera Mechanism offers us several profound takeaways. First, it teaches humility. History is not a simple linear march of progress. Civilizations can achieve incredible heights and then lose that knowledge for centuries. We should never assume that because something is old, it is primitive, or that because we have modern technology, we are inevitably more capable than our ancestors. Second, it reminds us of the importance of preserving knowledge and institutions. The Library of Alexandria, where much of the mathematical and astronomical knowledge behind this device was developed and stored, was lost to fire and neglect. The mechanisms themselves were melted down for scrap metal. Only by pure chance did this single example survive 2,000 years at the bottom of the sea. What other achievements have been lost to time? Third, it demonstrates that when we combine different fields of knowledge, astronomy, mathematics, engineering, and practical craftsmanship, we can create something greater than the sum of its parts. The mechanism wasn't just built by astronomers or just by engineers. It required both working together with a shared vision. Finally, it shows that the human drive to understand our universe, to predict its patterns, and to build tools that extend our capabilities is timeless. The ancient Greeks who built this device shared the same curiosity and ingenuity that drives scientists and engineers today. Despite over 120 years of study and the application of cutting-edge technology, we still don't know everything about the Antikythera Mechanism. We don't know exactly who built it, though theories point to the astronomer Hipparchus or his school on the island of Rhodes. We don't know how many similar devices existed. We don't know the full extent of its capabilities, as much of the mechanism remains missing, still lying on the seafloor or lost forever. But what we do know is this: 2,000 years ago, in a workshop somewhere in the ancient Greek world, someone built a computer. They built it with bronze gears and mathematical precision, with astronomical knowledge and engineering genius. They built it to bring the cosmos into human hands, to make the movements of the heavens comprehensible and predictable. And then it was lost to history, waiting at the bottom of the sea until a storm blew some sponge divers off course one spring day in 1900. The Antikythera Mechanism reminds us that the past holds secrets we have yet to discover, that technological sophistication can be lost and found again, and that the human desire to understand and predict our universe has driven innovation for thousands of years and will continue to do so for thousands more. As we look at this corroded bronze device in its museum case in Athens, we're not just looking at ancient gears and dials. We're looking at proof that genius has no time period, that innovation knows no era, and that sometimes the most profound discoveries are the ones that force us to reconsider everything we thought we knew about our past.